Welcome to MarketPulse Pros and Pioneers. Each week, I talk with industry leaders on both marketing and entrepreneurship and business to find out all about their wins and failures in marketing right now. We'll hear all about successes and wins and what's fallen flat so that you can take that knowledge and implement it. Learn from the best, from the folks who've been there and done it all, as well as people just like you. Thanks for joining us. This is MarketPulse Pros and Pioneers.
Hello and welcome to another episode of MarketPulse Pros and Pioneers. I'm Paul, your host from Javelin Content Management, and the fantastic guest I have on this week is Noel. Hi Noel, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. I want to check the pronunciation of your surname. Is it Maldonado? Am I getting that right?
Maldonado, yes, correct.
Perfect.
Yep.
I realised we didn't clarify that in pre, and I don't like saying people's name without checking with them first. It's very important to get people's name right. If you're a regular listener to the show or a viewer of the YouTube channel, we're here every week, every Wednesday at 3 p.m. with a new guest, and they're either a marketing expert who wants to share some of the things that they've seen working throughout the years, some changes that they see coming in trends, or a business owner or entrepreneur just like yourself who is already doing the same sorts of things that you are. Maybe you've had a bit of success in the past and just want to share their successes and challenges. So lots of advice sharing, lots of actionable takeaways for everybody to come away from every show. And I've got a special shout out before we get started with the show. I'm wearing my orange Javelin shirt on absolute purpose because and this show won't be going out till middle of August, late August. So this is going to be a very painful reminder for some of you from the Netherlands that England have just beaten you in the Euros semi-final last night. And if I'm honest, you were worthy opponents. It was a fantastic game. Really enjoyed watching the match. I do feel sorry for you all, but right, that's over with. Oranges. 3 Lions hopefully will have brought it home by the time this show airs. We never know. Maybe. Noel, fantastic to meet you. Thank you very much for coming on the show. For anybody who doesn't know him, you're based in Lancaster in Pennsylvania. You specialise in SEO for home service professionals, which is a little bit different. Fluent in Spanish and certified in Google Ads and Analytics. Noel enhances online presence, driving leads through strategic marketing funnels. Interestingly though, Noel also teaches digital innovation and media at a local private Catholic school, and prepare students for success in various digital fields, which I love that for a start. I love that because I am so passionate about educating the next generation. You started your digital marketing journey after an injury. Do you want to tell us that sounds awful?
Yeah. So I've always been, I did basement waterproofing, fence installation, residential fence installation. So it's always been like manual and labor jobs. And during the pandemic, I was actually working at Mulberry Art Studios as an administrative assistant. They closed down because people weren't allowed to be around people. So I was like, this job is normally not what I do. So I need to think of something. And I thought, I have experience doing residential fence installation. Why not start a residential fence company? So I did. Went out, bought everything to start the company, got the insurance, went all in, and I'm like, okay, landed my first job. I installed the fence. The last thing to do on the last day was to install the gates. It was a wooden fence. During the gate installation, I injured my shoulder. I tore 3 tendons in my right shoulder, and I had to get operated, then 9 months of physical therapy. During that time, I also got 2 operations, one on each of my wrists for carpal tunnel, and then a diagnosis for rheumatoid arthritis. It just started becoming really apparent to me that maybe physical labor was not going to be my future.
That sounds like a long year, Noel.
So, yeah, that year really tested me because I was sort of lost, didn't know where to go, what my next steps were. It was probably one of the hardest times in my life. Now, prior to that, I did for my the basement waterproofing company. I'll do a shout out, Ageless Waterproofing Company. They had me do their website at that time, which they've changed afterwards. And that was the first website I ever created. After that, during my time at Mulberry Art Studios, I did sort of do some copywriting for their website, started adding some pages, trying to enhance their SEO. And that's where I first started learning about, what digital marketing is and what it contains. So during this time, I thought about that and I was like, why don't I do this? So one thing led to another, and here I am.
It's a fantastic story, and I just love the fact that something was born out of such hard times, and that pretty much every marketer we've spoken to on the show have gone through a crucible of their own at some point. Mine was 15 years in retail, followed by 5 years selling complex AI SaaS, and it made me who I am, and I wouldn't change some of it, but not a lot, right? But you're not alone. We were talking with Chelsea a few weeks back, and she was working in customer services at a big UK theme park when they had a ride collision, and people sadly died in that, and she was kind of working through with the whole customer service response to that. And that's why she decided to set up a marketing agency of her own, because she wanted to help people with brand. And I do think that there's something powerful in that time that we all have to go through to create the personality that exists on the other side. And hats off for turning something that no doubt was extremely hard work into something really positive for you. So talk me through Property Pros. Like, what do you guys do? How are you different?
Property Pros, that is mainly search engine optimization. That's where I've sort of really excelled. I do just about every other component of digital marketing as well. And as of recent, the one thing that I've added is that I do marketing like automations. So a lot of workflows. And I guess that the next step for me is actually, as I'm doing this for other clients, creating snapshots on Go High Level for each industry. So it'll be already set up for them and ready to go. So that's sort of what I believe sets me apart. I'm not only doing SEO, but I'm also taking care of pretty much everything and automations as well.
So when you say automations, do you want to give us some examples of the sorts of things that you guys might be automating?
Sure. Let's just say something very basic. They booked some sort of meeting, an appointment, and just an automation of day of, or as they do that, confirmation email, 3 days prior to an appointment, an email sent out the day prior, a text sent out to remind them, and an hour prior to the appointment, a text sent out. Also for lead generation, anybody who does fill out a form but does not book a meeting of some sort, then we go ahead and start sending them emails using for form leads, magnet leads to give them something in return for their information. So we sort of sit down, strategize, and see how to build these funnels, how to automate them, and how best to nurture their clients through the process.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I think there's an ever increasing awareness that automation of mundane tasks is possible. I was talking with a guest we've got in a couple of weeks' time, Devram, who specializes in not particularly marketing optimizations and automations, but general business administration automations. And we were discussing how a lot of people initially probably only see the things that they do every day that frustrate them as being targets for automations. What they probably don't see are the things that they choose not to do because they just don't have the time yet. Where the automations can just kind of take a whole new project on your behalf and do something that you've thought about doing but never really had the ability or the resources to be able to do it. So that's fantastic. And you specialize in the home services industry, right? So I guess going back to your roots and an industry you know well.
Yes, that's the reason my first client was Maximus Fence, which is the fence installation company I worked for and taught me how to do fence installation. So yeah, they were my first client. From there, I went to other clients that do roofing, siding, landscaping. I do have a cybersecurity company that got mixed in there as well, but that was from a referral from someone else. And we sort of talked and things just seemed to work out. So that was out of the scope of what I was looking for, but very good guy, and it seemed to be a great fit.
I always say that it's very important for businesses to have their own niche and identify an ideal client base that they want to work with. But for many of us, turning away work sometimes isn't an option. So, just because we only aim to deal with a specific segment doesn't mean we can't deal with other segments. But also, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, where the relationship is brilliant and you get on really well and that there's a natural alignment. Why wouldn't you take on that extra work? So I don't think it detracts at all. I think it's a smart move when that opportunity comes along. Talk us through your teaching role then, Noel. So how did you get involved with teaching? And what age are these are the children that you're teaching?
I decided to just give my free time over to the church, help them out with doing some SEO on their website. They have a thrift store, a nonprofit thrift store here in the community that pretty much no one really knows about unless you go to that church. Yeah. So I was like, let's try to see if we can get people in the community to, be aware that this exists. And I did their website, and then Father Lewis comes up to me and he was like, "Do you know Mrs. Amarante?" And I'm like, I do not know who that is. He was like, "Well, you're going to go ahead and give her a call. Here's her phone number. She needs what you do." And I'm like, "What?" So I'm thinking digital marketing. Yeah. I'm like, "Yeah, digital marketing. Okay, cool. I'll give a call." So obviously there was a miscommunication there. She was like, "No, I'm looking for a teaching role, like for technology and like digital innovation and media is what we changed it to." And after talking to her, I was just like, I don't know, maybe this is something that, my experience and what I've went through and things that I've learned, and not only in digital marketing, but also entrepreneurship. I knew that entrepreneurship was something that was in me prior to digital marketing because I ran a recording studio for a while. I've always tried to find a way to do something on the side, like a 9 to 5 was never enough. And I was always trying to find something else, something mine, something that's for me. And in this, I want to teach entrepreneurship, but I also want to teach that, sometimes it's okay. The world also needs the people who go into the 9 to 5 job to work there, do that. This is necessary as well. And if you're going to do it. And also, do this while knowing how a business runs, the importance that what you bring as a worker to that business. So never underestimate your role or your position, no matter what it is. But really, I get into my classroom, kindergarten through 8th grade. So it's a wide range. So the younger students, it's just teaching them basics on computers, programs, software, how it runs, opening, closing, saving, making sure, just basic procedures. Then as they get older, then we start getting into talking about entrepreneurship, talking about digital marketing, talking about how a search engine, how it works, how it ranks, how websites are necessary. A website is not just a business card. A website is an extension of what your company is, it's just a market front online. But it's definitely interesting. This will be my 2nd year as a teacher, so it'll be good.
That's fascinating that your entrepreneurial initiative led you to have the confidence to say yes to something like that, and now you're thoroughly enjoying it and you're in a role. I think, certainly in England, I find that because we have this focus on qualifications, not everybody who is an expert at what they're doing wants to teach, right? And not everybody who wants to teach has the relevant skill set to teach certain subjects. And I think there's an important mix for a lot of people. Like, there are people out there like yourself who are gifted at teaching, who just naturally have an ability to impart knowledge on the next generation, who maybe in the UK certainly don't get the opportunity to do that because they don't have the relevant teaching qualifications. And actually, you probably find that they taught just as
Yeah.
good, if not better than the teachers that are already out there, as well as considering, the curriculum that we have, especially here in the UK. Like, I think we've moved on some, but it's still very restrictive. And I look at some of the things my son's learning about, and then now and again he'll say something that absolutely blows my mind, that he hadn't been taught that at school in this day and age. And I think there's so much out there.
Yeah.
So much out there, but fantastic to be teaching the next generation about business, right?
I think it's important for them to see part of the responsibility of being an adult, being a productive member of community. And when I say like a productive member of community and through business and entrepreneurship, one of the reasons that I do digital marketing is because I truly believe that it makes a difference in your community. These local businesses, if you help them thrive, they can hire more people. These people can then put food on the table for their family, a roof over their family's head. If these companies succeed, these families succeed, this community succeeds. And I want to instill that thought and that mentality into these children, that what you do can have that big of an impact.
That's powerful. That is fantastic. I love this. I love this conversation. We could probably do a whole other episode just on that, because like I said, I am myself. I'm super passionate on. I mean, you'll see Sir Ken Robinson's work behind me there, Finding Your Element, and some of his talks have really inspired me as an adult to kind of want to change the next generation. We digress. Moving it back to marketing then, Noel. Moving it back to digital marketing and SEO then. There's a lot changing right now in the SEO space, and digital marketing as well. The advent of AI has brought some amazing capabilities and some worrying capabilities, and now Google are trying their best to kind of navigate that whilst trying not to stifle people's innovation too much. What do you see as being some of the emerging trends coming up that will impact? I guess let's keep this to your passion area of local business more than national or international business. So how are those changes impacting on local business SEO and digital marketing?
I think that a lot of like ChatGPT, for example, is a tool like anything else. But I think that a lot of people use it as a replacement real quick. Let me see how many thousands of blogs I can do and release over here so I can get content out. And without really paying attention to, is it helpful? Does this actually have substance? Is it something that's going to enhance whoever's, coming into reading it? And I think that this tool is great and lots of other Junior AI. I don't know if you know that one. Lots of AI tools that help with blog writing. I feel like it's a double-edged sword. Lots of people think that it's a cop-out, easy way to go ahead and do something real fast, and I don't need to do anything. While other people are using it and also adding a human touch to it, looking through, reading, fact checking, really making sure that what comes out is high quality. So in these with AI and local business, I think blog writing is a great way to add keywords to be able to help also provide helpful information to your clients. They just got a deck installed, let's write about how to take care of that deck. So giving them tips and advice is great for the client, and it's also good for Google to try to get keywords for your website. AI is a great thing, just use it wisely.
Good advice, which mirrors, we've had some interesting guests on the show around AI, and I think back to, it must have been episode 5 or 6. We had the guys from Content at Scale on the show, and it's one of the few AI-based engines. I don't know whether you're familiar with it or not, but it's one of the few AI-based engines that I've seen that really goes to that next level to try and make sure that all the human elements are added to it so that you get the final 5%, 10% done. But even they said, like what we've created, it's not meant for bulk creating all of these fantastic pieces. It's meant to take away all the mundane stuff that you don't want to do. So, for example, interlinking your articles, right? Like I know I should be interlinking my articles when I write my newsletter and my blog and I put it on the website. And who's got time for that, right? That's the problem that a lot of people come to.
Right.
But you're right. Like once you get to that point, you go, oh, actually, it can do that for me. What else can it do for me? And then you start to get lazy. And as humans, we'll always take the path of least resistance until our fingers get burned.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then likewise, I was talking with James Dooley the other week, and one of his team had gone on a personal mission to promote content through AI at ridiculous quantities, and had as a result been blocked by Google as a developer. At developer level, he'd been shadow banned, and every website he'd been responsible for being a marketing engineer on, even if only by association as having his name on the account, were immediately blacklisted by Google. So I think there are some very serious repercussions to think about. So 120 websites, I think it was, that we're trying to reclaim. There is an ethical and a moral compass that people need to have when they're using tools like AI.
Hi, and thanks for joining us for the show. I'm Paul, founder here at Javelin Content Management. We specialize in getting ideas out of your head, down into video, and out to your social media through repurposing and efficient content strategies. If you want to find out how you can convert your ideal audience into paying customers, reach out to us, javelincontent.com, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode.
Believe that everything that you do online in any aspect of digital marketing, you should always have it with the end user, whether it's the client, whoever it is, in mind. And how will it help them? How will it provide they're looking for? How will this answer their question? Yeah, always think of them.
And like again, probably blog writing and SEO is probably a whole other podcast that we could do. You could specialize in and do a whole episode on its own. And I've started doing video first, right? So I record a 5-minute video, or do the newsletter and blog based on the outputs and the transcript of that, get AI to create a certain chunk of it, and then I go back over the top of it. So I'm starting with the first 10%, I'm giving it the last 10%, and the AI is doing the bit in the middle. It works for me. So there's lots of creative ways to use it, but yes, ultimately it's got to add value in the first place. Otherwise, what's the point? Other than being dishonest.
I've honestly used ChatGPT to bounce ideas for lesson plans for the students. On that aspect, back and forth, just thinking of like, how can I integrate this and this? Let me see if ChatGPT give me about like 12 ideas and then it'll come up with one that I find, and I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, oh wow, that's a connection I didn't make, but it's great. Now let's take this and develop it and work on it and go. That's
it. And I think even just as a business owner, helping educate yourself about complex topics like digital marketing, how you can get better, as before the point where you're ready to pay an external third party to support you because they're the specialist. And I'd always advise that you get to that point and take that on board, because that's the best. But you know what? One of my friends was giving me investing advice the other day around stocks and shares, and he'd found a new strategy that was working for him. He said, go and look at this webpage. And I'm not an investor. And I read the webpage. I was like, this is all. Why would you do that? I don't understand why you would do that. Why does that? How can you make money out of that? And I plumbed it into ChatGPT, and I was like, explain it to a 10-year-old. And it came up with an analogy of like a lemonade stand. And it was explaining the lemonade stand thing to me. And it was like, so if you wanted to do this and you could sell it at that price. I was like, oh, I get it. That's beautiful. Right. It's not for me. I can't do that. So then to come back to the last two questions that I ask every guest, Noel, first up, what's one marketing practice that you wish business owners would just stop using right now? What gets your goat? What makes you annoyed?
It's pretty much every gimmick that they hear online, and they're so quick to jump to and to see, like, with promises of so many clients and, the only marketing funnel you will ever need. And they jump on this and they're just like, this is what's going to work. This is what's going to do it. And I feel like sometimes even digital marketers starting off will see certain things and be like, okay, this is it, without really having a solid grasp of foundational SEO, just the basics. Because I think a person who knows just some basic SEO, basic digital marketing, can make a huge difference on a business just with that alone. So stay away from these gimmicks, stay away from, and just get the basics down, foundationals down, and work with that, and you'll see a difference.
Let's be honest, and here's the thing I always test things with, right? If there was a silver bullet that solved all of your problems that a single person or company had discovered, why would they tell you about it? Why would they make a course so that you could do it yourself? If it solved all the problems in the world, they would just do it themselves and make a ton of money and keep it a secret. So the fact that they're telling you about it means there are provisos and limitations and challenges that they're not telling you about, that you will find out once you've paid probably a silly amount of money to have their knowledge with you.
Yeah.
And it, I've seen some of these things, and it just tends to be like trumped up, like, get 200 leads in a month. What kind of leads? How qualified? Like, what does that mean? Like, what's a lead?
Right.
What are you defining? But we're
I mean, you can go ahead and run Google ads and just to a really wide variety of people that have nothing to do with what your target audience is. And sure, you're going to get tons of visits to your website. It's going to, people are going to click on it. Okay, that's amazing. It's going to, you're doing it by just sheer amount of quantity, but not, why would you pay to do that? But you'd rather get your qualified leads coming through to give yourself the biggest chance at that those leads will convert.
Check your ego at the door, right? Check your ego at the door. So then on the last question then, what's one marketing tactic or approach that you believe that business owners should be embracing more often?
Continuous learning. I think that business owners should always be learning, always be coachable. Also, I've run into some business owners where I see what the strategy that they're using and implementing, and I see where it can be changed. And as soon as I say something about that, there's just this resistance. There's like, no, this is what's been working. This is what will work. This is like, then why am I here? Like, I just, you're asking to sit down and talk, and you've given me the time, but you won't listen to me, even though you've given me the time to speak. You won't hear me out. Please keep an open mind. Please also, and never be stuck. Maybe it worked a certain way. Digital marketing changes all the time. Algorithms changing, everything. Continuous just learning is the best way to stay on top of these things. And also, talking to other individuals that are in the industry. So I tell business owners, go to, like, here we have the Chamber of Commerce that have tons of meetings with other business owners in the local area. Go to them, talk. If you can't pay to go ahead and have an SEO come in and talk and strategize and help you out and work together, you can work with other business owners and just talk. Sometimes a conversation, you'll learn more from that. Yeah, just always find ways to continuously improve and learn more.
Come and listen to the podcast. We're great. But yeah, that's kind of that, and that's exactly why I set the podcast up, right, Noel? I laugh about it. Like, one, yes, I want to help other people, and I want to share to the wider audience things that might be an aha moment, or an idea for them to try, or some innovation. But also for me, I'm not a marketer by trade. I never studied marketing, much like yourself, right? Like, I came from 15 years in retail, and I'm always interested to know what's going on and how I can improve my own knowledge, which I get, luckily, through speaking to fantastic individuals like yourself. So it's, absolutely get out there and network in whatever shape or form that takes for you.
Right.
Noel, I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation this afternoon. Like, I wasn't sure what to expect.
Likewise.
You're the first, I guess you're kind of B2B to C, right? You're servicing clients who themselves are B2C. So you're the first person we've had on from that sphere, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. It's been a pleasure. And if people want to know more, they want to reach out and connect with you, how are they best able to contact you?
They can go ahead and contact me straight through my website, propertyprosseo.com. If you go ahead and email me through there, I'll definitely get back to you talk to you there. I also have my socials. So if you prefer going through LinkedIn, that's great too. And I'm happy to connect with anyone.
Perfect. Thank you very much for being a fantastic guest, Noel. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you.
And if you're a listener to the show and you're here every week, thank you very much for your continued support. And make sure you share the podcast with your network. Let them know that we're here. Get the subscriptions in, because your subscriptions and your support are why we make this show. It's not just about us, and it's not about us talking about ourselves. We want to add real value for you. So if you've got ideas for conversations, guests that you'd like to nominate for the show, I'd love to hear from you. All my contact details are in the show notes at the bottom of every episode. I will see you all next Wednesday at 3 p.m. and bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to feature on a future show, or you've got some ideas for folks who would make a great guest, please drop us a line. Contact details are in the show notes, and I'd love to hear from you. Your host today was me, Paul Banks, founder at Javelin Content Management. Here at Javelin, we specialise in helping busy business owners just like you to repurpose video content, taking all the stress and tech problems away and turning your long-form video into literally hundreds of pieces of content without breaking the bank. We describe it as getting ideas out of your head into video and out to your socials. If you want to launch your personal brand, become the vendor of choice for your audience, or maximise your sales revenue impact, we'd love to hear from you. Join us next Wednesday for the next episode, and don't forget to subscribe and give us a review. Our podcast is only possible with your continued support.